The information contained herein is intended to help the viewer successfully navigate common IRS and Department of Labor requirements to help achieve successful results from their IRA. The information is not intended to replace information from your legal counsel or income tax professional. IRA Club does not offer or sell any investment. All investments have risk.
Welcome back to another IRA Club podcast with your host, Ramesh Fakhouri, Vice President, joined with a very close friend of mine, Travis Howard of Travis Buys Homes. Travis, before I jump in and introduce you and all that good jazz, one of the things I don't like to do, Travis, is it just doesn't do you a disservice if I just sit there and to grab a piece of paper and kind of just talk like, here's your bio. I actually like to hear it from your mouth. But before we do, for those of you joining for the very first time, we are a self-directed IRA company. So many of you may have retirement dollars within your employer plans, such as a 401k, 403b, a 457, possibly an IRA, an HSA, a TSP. And many of those accounts typically sit within the big three, Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab. So the best analogy, Travis, as you well know, that I like to give about IRA Club is just think of us like those institutions, like those companies. But one of the questions that you may ask is, what are the differences, right? Well, the difference is plain and simple is you're only going to be able to use your retirement dollars to invest within stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Versus the IRA Club, yes, we do give you that opportunity to invest in the traditional sense of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. However, we give you the flexibility to invest in alternatives, right? So real estate, land, syndications, private equity deals, anything your heart desires. In fact, today's agenda, right, is to talk with Travis about real estate, okay, and how you could potentially take a portion of your retirement dollars and invest in real estate as an asset class. And yes, Travis, you're nodding your head. You can use your retirement dollars and not trigger a prohibited transaction. Like you and I both know very well that we hear from other broker dealers, financial advisors, fiduciaries that tell you or may tell you, no, that you can't do this, right? We always think of these as artificial restrictions in our world. But the truth and the fact of the matter is the IRS tax code allows you to invest in anything your heart desires outside of collectibles, an S corp, and or your own life insurance policies. Okay. The one thing that IRA Club cannot do for you is choose the investment for the investor. It actually defeats the purpose of what a self-directed retirement account is all about, which is given the flexibility and the control to you, the investors, to find out, what's out there, to diversify, to think double-digit returns. Because Travis, you know as well as I do, the stock market historically, right, when you're looking at things decade by decade, it's given you somewhere between 7 to 8% returns. Where you and I both know when you look at things decade by decade, real estate is always a good way to consider, or better yet, way to consider use a portion of your retirement dollars to diversify. And the beauty of it is it does grow tax-free or tax-deferred, depending on the type of retirement account you have. So without further ado, one of the things that I like doing is bringing in resident experts to talk strategies, because the one thing I can't do is choose, again, the investment for the investor. Want to talk strategies, see what's out there, what are some possibilities that we could use your retirement dollars into alternatives like real estate. So without further ado, Travis, let me welcome you to the IRA Club podcast. It's always a pleasure, a good friend of mine who I've known for over a decade, and again, very well versed in the strategy of self-directing. So Travis, I'm done talking. Let's introduce yourself. Bird's eye view, jump in, buddy. How are you?
Good, man. Good to be with you, Ramez. And for those of you guys listening or watching, whatever that may be. So yeah, my name's Travis. I am located in Charlotte, North Carolina, where it's a bit chilly today. Not nearly as chilly as Chicago, where Ramez is. Of course. Did you see what temperature is there?
Below, wind chill is below 9. So it's pretty
Yeah,
chilly
that's
over here. Yeah.
hence why I do not live in Chicago. Instead, I live where there's 4 seasons. Literally every 3 months it changes here. So you just got to get used to the allergies. Other than that, it's a great place.
Yeah.
So I've been in this industry for 25 years. I've been doing this full time for that long. So in real estate itself. So to kind of give you an idea, I got started with getting educated way back in the day. I paid for education, spent a lot of money, still spend a lot of money to continuing ed for myself, going to, all kinds of different things, or hiring mentors and things like that to help me grow my business. There's different levels of stuff which we can get into also, of whenever you need a mentor. A lot of people need a mentor. One of the great points that you brought up is that a lot of people don't even know that they can buy real estate with their IRA, which is crazy to me because I've been doing it in my IRA, I think 10, 11 years now ish, give or take a year maybe. And, we do the Roth. My wife and I, the kiddos, everybody, we do the Roth. So then it's not tax deferred, it's tax free once I've turned 59 and a half. And then Ramez, there's you and your team at IRA Club that is constantly like, hey, Travis, you need to send your money in like today, as it's the last day that you can actually do that. I'm like, yeah. And I know I'm not alone in that, but can you give them a little bit of how much? I think is is it 7,500 right now per person under 50?
Seven if you're under the age of 50 within your IRA contribution limits. If you're over the age of 50, it's actually 8,000. If it's a 401k, it's 23,000 if you're under the age of 50. But if you're over the age of 50, it's 30,000. And by the way, Travis, I don't know if you know this, the limits just actually jumped an additional $500 for 401ks, 403bs, and 457s. So yeah, so you could thank inflation for that. So for some reason they did not address the IRA for the third consecutive year, but they are very, Travis, very desperate, meaning the Treasury Department, Congress, to try get individuals, because you know this and I know this, our retirement system is so broken, right? We know that like 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 53% cannot even make a contribution to their retirement accounts. Many people are just dependent on the employer matches, whether they're 3, 5, 7%, whatever they are. But it's so sad to see that, Congress, and again, the Treasury Department, is doing everything within their willpower to get people to contribute more money to their retirement accounts. And again, just people can't. So, that's one way that you talked about contribution limits. But the thing that we see at the IRA Club more than ever is somebody who has, for example, an old employer 401k. Those are the type of retirement accounts that we see that roll over to the IRA Club. So again, to confirm, if you are listening and it's your first time hearing about self-directed retirement accounts, many of you possibly or may have an employer's 401k. So unfortunately, you guys cannot self-direct until you leave your employer, or if you're furloughed or quit, or whatever the case may be. And then 30 days after that, you can roll those dollars over to the IRA Club to potentially invest in, for example, this topic of discussion is real estate. But yeah, Travis, you're 100% right. It's sad to see what's going on, and the contribution limits are trending upwards, but just people are not contributing at all.
Yeah, I have a quick story I want to share. This was several years ago. It's a story that I can never forget. So I'm with a seller, and they had worked at like Cannon Mills near Charlotte, and they had worked there for almost 40 years. And I'm asking them, because I'm buying their house. So I just was like, well, didn't you have a pension or something that was with the company that you were with? And they're like, yeah, absolutely, I have a pension. I'm like, okay, well, since I'm buying the house, and I always ask everybody, like, hey, if you ever want to lend that money to come to bank, we can pay you a certain return, blah, blah, blah. And I said, just poops and giggles, because I have no idea. And you're one of the only folks. And this is a person, God, she had to have been probably in her 70s, 80s. Her pension check per month, $19.
What?
$19, bro. Yeah. And I was like, how in the heck, like that is just I mean, how do you live off of that? So hence why she was actually selling the house. I was actually able to get her out of a bad spot. She wasn't able to pay her taxes. So I bought the property from her. I got her taxes paid up, and she was able to move on and find another house to actually go to. So it helped her out.
Did it help? So Travis, let's talk about it then. Let's just jump into the topic of discussion, right? Real estate. Most Americans do not realize that they could take a portion of their retirement dollars and invest in such an asset class like real estate. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, right? So to help like drive that perspective into place, and then we could kind of maybe just jump into the process a little bit.
100%. So I'll break it down like this. Again, I've been in this business for 25 years, this year, about to be 26. And I've had a chance to work with and deal with a lot of people that have, self-directed, things like that. As actually, I would say probably about 60 to 65% of our buyers, we have what's called a turnkey properties. So, and it's a turnkey business, right? So, and I'll break it down third grade level. So I'll buy the property with one of my companies, and I'm a GC, a general contractor here in North Carolina, and have been for several years. So my crews, which I have several every day that work for me, they'll go out, they rehab the property. We then put it out in the market for rentals. And that's something that a lot, like I said, 60 to 65% of our buyers buy through like a company like you guys, which is a huge thing for us because
It's a testimonial to you, Travis, that you
100%.
talk about it. So most people don't, but good for you.
Yeah, 100%. So what happens is that someone like a listener, and say that they're with you guys, they can self-direct it to actually buy the real estate. Your IRA or Roth or SEP or whatever, right, or traditional, it actually owns the property. It owns the asset. And for myself and Malou, who's my wife and my business partner, to kind of break it down, we also partner with our IRA to be able to do houses for rental properties. So this is what's great. So you buy a house, say it was free and clear, right? So I buy it with my self-directed Roth IRA, and say it's $100,000. So now I've got $100,000 that came out, and what will come in is the rent every month, and I don't ever have to pay taxes on it. And then one day, and I do everything long-term. I really do anything short-term. I think 7 to 10 years is actually my long-term plan, and longer, right? So everything investment-wise, even stocks, bonds, whatever it may be, even my insurance policies, I do everything hopefully long-term as possible, right? Big man upstairs willing. So by the time everything's said and done, think about it, perspective. Say that I bought a house for $100,000 10 years ago with my self-directed IRA, Roth IRA. The rent has been going into my account every single month, right? I mean, you got to pay property management, you got to pay taxes and insurance and all that stuff. And your IRA pays for all that stuff out of the account. And then what happens is, say it's 10 years later, it's today, that $100,000 house is now worth, probably in this market, we're looking at anywhere between 8 and 15 to 18% appreciation per year. So the number grows drastically pretty fast, in my opinion. I think it's a great return.
It's not an opinion, it's a fact, because
Yeah,
numbers
it is
don't lie.
a fact.
Yeah.
So if you take your rent that you collect every single year, you take the appreciation, we're probably around the 14 to 20% return overall on that property, which is phenomenal. So this is what's cool. So say that it's the 10 years later and I'm ready to sell it, and say that I can sell it for $400,000. Well, that money doesn't come to me, Travis.
No.
That goes to you guys in Chicago, as an example, to IRA Club, and it goes into the account. And then at 59 and a half, I can start using that cash however I may at that point, and there's no taxes. And people don't think about it because they haven't probably heard a lot about what you and I do. And we do this for investors constantly with our turnkey properties, which is fantastic because they're like, oh my God, it's only been 7 years, and my house, I bought it from you for say 150. It's now worth, $350,000, $400,000. And yeah, every penny of that, whenever it's, and we also have a realty company. So we even sell it for you. We direct it at the closing from the attorney, because we're an attorney state, North Carolina, and that money gets sent up to Chicago to IRA Club, as the example, and it just sits there. And then after about this time, if you wanted to buy more real estate, you could always do it with us if you chose to, or you can become a lender of some sort if you really wanted to, which is what a lot of people do. Once they hit around the 60 marker, I'm seeing that they don't want to deal with any type of tenants or toilets or, 4 o'clock in the morning calls, which is what we do for you all the time. Anyways, we're working with you as a teammate to make sure that your assets being taken care of, just like a broker would for, your stocks and your bonds and things like that. So it's pretty simple. People that come and do business with us, Ramez, they do it because of our systems and processes that we have in place. There's a place that you can log in, you can see exactly what your returns are and all that good fun stuff. I mean, it's really a great thing. I wish I personally, I've been in the business for 25 years, but I wish I would have gotten my self-directed IRA, 25 years ago. And I don't even know if it was even around at that point in time. I'm sure you
It
do,
was
but
1974.
right.
It was.
Yeah, I was born, right? So, I always tell everybody, like, everybody needs to have some form of a self-directed IRA, no matter what you're going to do. I mean, just like with IRA Club, you guys have the online stuff right now too for being able to do stocks, bonds, AI stocks, bonds, right? So you get to self-direct it. I personally love the real estate because that's my baby. That's what I know. That's my lane. I even do what's called wholesaling, and I'll do that one of every 10 houses. I'll do a wholesale deal, and that money goes directly right back into IRA Club account that I have with you guys. And again, it's tax free until I want to pull it out at 59 and a half. So it's pretty amazing.
So, Travis, some of the things I want to drive home for those of you that are listening is, again, we don't have a problem with the stock market. We like the stock market, but me and Travis use it in a different way, right? We believe in brick and mortar. We believe in numbers. We believe one of the things that we said, numbers don't lie, right? When you look at things decade by decade, for example, the last 20 years, if you actually calculate what the S&P 500 has given you, which is, Travis, I think it's like 321%, right, in the past 20 years, slightly up because of obviously, there's been an uptick in the market. However, if you look at real estate as a whole, right, when you're talking about compounding, investing in hard assets, multifamily, syndications, that number is actually 2,100% in the last 20 years.
Which is amazing. And a piece that I want to add to what you were just saying to ride your coattails was insurance.
Yeah.
Your house burns down, it gets vandalized, insurance covers whatever it is. That doesn't even have to come out of your IRA. So if the house burns down, then your IRA is going to be whole as it should be, which is, to me, thing. Out of 25 years I've had one house burned down. It was about 2 years ago, and I got all my money back. And then I was able to still sell the lot, which again, I hope.
But to your point, Travis, if you lost 20, 30% in the stock market, it takes years to recuperate.
Now you got to double, triple, quadruple down in order to get back to where your return was. With houses, it's insured, it's a tangible asset. You can sell it anytime. Yes, it does not have the ability to be able to sell in a day to get your cash, like a stock as an example. However, it is a true asset that is tangible that you can go out and kick. And I love it.
But Travis, that's the point I'm trying to make is, yes, it's not liquid, right? And you could touch it, but it doesn't matter because you have an employer's 401k. You can't touch it anyways.
And you probably don't even know what it's even invested in anyways. You can't track all that stuff.
Well, mutual funds, and that's their definition of diversification, which is not our definition of diversification.
Yep.
And I'm not going to get into fee structure during this podcast. But what I'm trying to get at is you can't touch the money anyways until you're 59 and a half. What we're trying to get at is, if I gave you those numbers, and numbers you go Google yourself, Travis, or anybody that's listening, don't you think it's just as important to diversify not only your personal dollars, but your retirement dollars in the same manner? That's the point I'm trying to drive home, right, Travis?
Yeah.
So, and one of the other things I want to drive home is what I love that you said this, right? That just shows me that you are very well versed in self-directing. Is you are not buying the asset, okay? It's your IRA or 401k or HSA that is deeded to the property, okay? Which means, to Travis's point, when you're getting rental income, it's not going back to you, it's going back to your retirement account here at the IRA Club, which, by the way, is FDIC insured, okay? So don't forget, don't forget that, all right? So, Travis, how many homes would you say? 25 years, okay? That's been a long, long time doing this. And you've definitely paid your tuition 50 folds over. With all the mistakes, that's why you're laughing and smiling. But how many houses would you say you've acquired, fixed, flicked, sold? Like, how many houses would you say in the last 25 years?
Honestly, with partners, with everything, I would probably say close to probably 5,000. ish.
Okay, so you know what you're
Give
talking
or
about.
take.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, just a few things.
Just a little bit.
We
Yeah,
try
just a smidge.
yeah, we try to wholesale, each year's different, of course, but we try to wholesale about 100 to 150 houses. That's a marketing business that I have. And then we'll try to flip another couple hundred every year, if we can. Sometimes markets get a little bit tight, or sellers think their house is gold and I can't get the numbers that I need to get. But yeah, altogether, I would say that it's probably close to 5,000.
5,000. And how many are you currently, your property management company, how many are you currently managing right now?
We are right at around 800 doors that we property manage. That's just the Charlotte market, because I do want to give a shout out to one of my partners, Aaron, who is he's a badass. Been with Aaron for about 11 years as a business partner. He asked me to come on board after he saw what my track record was and what I'd done in the past. But we've got about, I think, 1,700-ish doors in Indianapolis. I don't know how many doors we have in Idaho, but we have 4 different markets to kind of give you an idea. So for any of you guys that are listening right now, it's called Alpine, and I'm a part of the Alpine family and part of the Alpine team. And we've got 4 different markets. We've got Charlotte, we've got Indianapolis, you have Kansas City, and we also have Idaho, which is Idaho Falls area, not too far from Yellowstone. Yeah, but altogether, we have probably 3,500 to 4,000 doors, I guess, thereabouts. It's a lot. It's a whole
lot. And for those of you that are listening, I'll tell you, with retirement dollars alone, I think we're managing somewhere around 12 to 1,300 just in retirement dollars that have been allocated to these 4 markets. Travis, out of curiosity, why do you guys concentrate within these 4 markets? Just for those viewers or investors that are listening.
Great question. Well, we like to be in markets that had at least 1 million people in them. They have to have a government that's not broke or broken. And that's pretty much
what are you trying to say about Chicago.
No,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Chicago being one of the main ones. Yes. Low taxes, low tax rates. So let me kind of blow some of you guys' minds. For most of you, as an example, Texas, we've done it in Texas. We've done this in Florida. We pulled back and started doing different states because of taxes and insurance reasons, because they started skyrocketing, right? Places like Florida, you can't even, in some areas, and in Houston, you can't even get houses insured unless you also get flood insurance, which then eats up all of your cash flow. So as an example, I'm going to give you Charlotte market, which is we're in. There's about 2.8 million people in the Charlotte MSA. So it's about an hour and 10 minutes from Charlotte Center City that we actually buy and sell, and that we do property management for investors like those of you that might be listening to this, or some of you, I'm sure, that are listening to this are already investors with us. But we want to make sure that it's also not a tenant friendly, because then we're investors. We want to make sure that it's more investor friendly, so that if somebody's not paying, we can get them out. On average, we can get a person out in the Charlotte market, except if it's Charlotte proper. In any of our outskirt markets that we buy the most houses in, we can get somebody out pretty much no problem within 30 days. And I want to just go back to what I was saying a second ago with the taxes. So taxes and insurance in the state of North Carolina, and this is what will blow some of you guys' minds. The highest tax rate for city and county together is 1.32% of the value of the home. Now, Ramez, off the top of your head, do you know what what are your taxes in Chicago, the city of Chicago? Do you have any? What are those off the top?
Listen, I don't want to get started, but it depends on if it's commercial versus mixed use versus
residential. Just residential.
Well, my 3-bedroom is 22,500 for the year.
And that's 22,500
for the year.
Okay. Right, for the year. Yeah. So ours is on average, ours is about 1.22 to 1.23% of what the value is that the tax assessor's office says. So I'll give you an example. Most of our houses, the taxes on $125,000 to $175,000 house, the taxes are normally going to be between $375 per year up to about $1,200 per year. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it means, and it makes it so that your IRA or your funds get to stay in your pocket and not having to go to Uncle Sam or to the tax man that's in your city and county. It's absolutely crazy and insane. We pulled out of Texas because the taxes and insurance, you're looking at 3 to 4%. Yeah, there's not an income tax, right? Well, then how do they make their money? Of course, it's because of, well, they're going to hit you for property tax. That's how they're going to actually make that money.
So, Travis, let's talk about and like returns, right? We're talking about returns on investment. I want people to understand when utilizing retirement dollars. So typically, what kind of like what do you typically see? Like a 5 cap, 6 cap, 7 cap with like
Yeah, you're looking at it between a 5 and 7.5.
5 and
So
7
on a yeah, and that's off of that's on the rents.
rents.
That's what we're for rents is between 5 and 7.5. If you add anywhere in our markets, you're looking from 5 to again 15% appreciation. And I know some people be like, appreciation's paper. Okay, then let me keep your appreciation since you don't want to look at it as being a real thing. It's a real thing, right? That goes down to your net worth. That makes it so you can get loans down the street. They absolutely think that it's something. So whenever I have investors like, oh, that's just paper money, I'm like, yeah, it is, but it goes to where and how you can go and get loans for things. It's how you can go and put second positions on homes, things like that. So altogether, you're going to have a mix of probably between 10 and 17% return on your house when you buy something turnkey with us. Now, it's not a guarantee because there's nothing in life in it as a guarantee, right? Except death and taxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking at around 10 to 15, 17%. And sometimes it's better and sometimes it's going to hit that 10% between the appreciation and the rental income.
But the focus that I wanted to drive home with that conversation, or that point I was trying to make, is when you use retirement dollars, when Travis talked about 5, 6, 7 cap, when you use a traditional or Roth, right? Now it's more like instead of 5, 6, 7, it's more like 7, 8, 9 caps. Why?
100%.
Or avoiding Uncle Sam, right?
100%.
He talked about maybe 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, or 20 years from now, because remember,
or your kids or grandchildren get it.
Yes, these are passed along to your heirs or your spouse. So what we're trying to, again, drive home, and to the point we're trying to make is, you have to think of ways to avoid Uncle Sam, because he will eat at least or almost half of what you make within your lifetime. Okay?
Yes.
It's a scary thought, because that's how me and Travis think. This is how I educate IRA club members. Okay?
Yeah, I literally just had this conversation with one of my acquisitions guys yesterday because he's killing it. He's doing great this year. He's been with me going on 4th year, and he just had an amazing year this year. And I'm like, all right. And he's also my best friend. So he was the best man at my wedding as the example. So I'm like, dude, you really got to start reading about taxes. You need to make sure you've got all of your IRA stuff. And he's with you at the IRA club. But, because I mean, I push everybody to you guys because you guys do what you say you're going to do. You've got a great team. That's why I like to work with you guys so much. And plus, we've got thousands of investors that go through, and it's always the same process, right? It's always the same process no matter what, because a person might be listening to this is like, oh my God, I'm not sure what I'm going to have to do. How am I going to do this? You don't worry about it. We've got you covered. We do this on a daily basis. We have tons of closings every day, through IRA Club as an example. And everybody knows how to move the funds to the attorneys and the title agents, and the getting the insurance on the properties to cover your butt. Everything, we help you through the process, and you'll see how simple it really is. So you're buying into a system and process with us.
So listen. So let's elaborate a little bit, right? So for those of you that don't know this, obviously, everybody that's listening probably doesn't know how long I've known Travis, or actually how I met Travis. I just so happen to be in the industry, and Travis knows this. I got involved always about a girl, right? Everything you do is always about a girl. So I left the industry, which came from the hospitality world, about 13 years ago, and I went to a Robert Kawasaki event called Elite. Correct me if I'm wrong, Travis.
Correct.
Right. So I walk inside, and Travis you were one of the mentors, right? You were one of the teachers for all of the students and people that attended that event. And one of the things that I absolutely appreciated about you is like how easy you made it for people to understand these concepts. Like you really K through 8 it for everybody that was listening, right? So fast forward a little bit, right? And I got very well versed, got to know you, got to know the organization of Alpine. So 12, about I would say 12 years ago, you, Aaron, IRA Club, a whole group of us actually decided to do something very exclusive, right? We wanted to create something called the REI Summit. Travis,
Yes.
you've been a mentor for how many years? Over a decade.
But yeah, probably 16 years. I've
16.
been in 49 states. I've worked and helped. I think it was around 4,000 students by the time my time was up, and I was just like, okay, now it's time for me to have a different view of life. So yeah,
Yes.
it was a few people.
So here's the point I'm trying to make. We, meaning you, I, Aaron, we even have we have Chuck from the Anderson team. We talk about insurance. So we actually host our own event called the REI Summit. We've been doing it for 12 years. Aaron is actually the host, and we are all a bunch of teachers there that teach all these different strategies, whether it's tax and asset protection, whether it's 1031, whether it's cross segregation, acquisitions. And actually, you're the focus of that when you're a marketing guru for those of you that don't know that. How you go and obtain these houses, how you fix them, the property management companies. You guys talk about returns. We talk about specific type of strategies within retirement accounts that I think are crucial, especially for considering doing a Roth conversion. Again, another topic of discussion. But
Yeah.
so 12 years we've been doing this. And I think it's one, and you and I both travel all over the country. In fact, just this year, I probably attended almost 48 events. I'm on the road 130 days out of the year. And I will tell you that every single person that attends our event, it's a 3-day event, right? Where we talk about turnkey investments, we talk about syndications, we talk about mobile homes, manufactured homes, we talk about Airbnbs, vacation homes. We talk about how to protect them. We talk about insurance. We talk about structuring your corporations, all of it, A through Z. I think it's probably one of the best events that always, or the feedback that I get, it's one of the best events. Again, very exclusive. Travis, how many people do we bring to this event every single month?
From 35 to 50.
And where are we doing these events?
They're in Indianapolis and Idaho Falls, Idaho. We do 4 in Idaho Falls, and I believe we do another 6 throughout the year in Indy. So we do it once a month. To add to something that you were just saying, we don't just talk about it, right? While you're there, we actually do it. Like literally, if we're sitting there at the cocktail party at night, and you've got questions about marketing or advertising or IRAs or legal things, like we have our real team there, like everybody's there. So when you leave, you can actually have an IRA set up. You have to fund it, those types of things. If there's, and you will never have a single person try to sell you anything, nothing, not a house, not anything. There is no pressure. It is the best thing in the world, in my opinion. And I've been going back and forth to these cities literally for 11, 12 years. So is Ramez. But you get to learn. We want you there to see, and you're getting to meet all the people that are in the different markets. You're getting to meet the insurance people that I actually use on my own personal portfolio. They're there, and they're going to help you get things set up. So let's say that you already own a few things. Well, you might want to get them to give you, some quote to see if they can beat out whoever it is that you're using currently, however that looks and however that works. But it's up to you, because again, it's you. We're not there to push a house on you. We're not there to push an IRA. We're not there to push asset protection. We're giving you, everybody that's there, the ability to ask questions, learn with us for the 3 full days. And then if they want to, cool. If you want to do something with us and buy a rental property in your IRA, fantastic. If you don't, that's cool too. but we want you to see that it's a real thing. It's a family. It's a great place to just come and learn from one another.
And the reasons why I think that we decided to do this from so many years ago, over a decade, I think Aaron hit the nail on the head. I think we were just sick and tired of seeing people paying tens of thousands of dollars to go to
Yeah.
these events. And Travis, how many people actually do something or anything? It's like
Barely any. 5 to 10%. 10%'s being, being
generous.
really generous. I mean, big time generous.
So the reasons why, again, we wanted to say it's not because like anybody could attend this event. If you're an IRA Club client, we actually offer for you guys to come to the events. All right.
Yeah.
It's part of it. And it's by the way, for free. All right. That we don't charge anything because our forefront and what we focus on. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the pillars of IRA Club and Travis and Aaron and the rest of the team is to educate first and foremost, to see what's out there, because I personally believe there's just some better solutions than keeping all of your retirement dollars inside one nest egg, which is the stock market. Okay. I, again, believe in brick and mortar. I think it's a better opportunity when you think long term, when you can't touch the funds anyways. It's just better returns overall as a whole. Okay. And again, it's there, it's for you, it's educational. You're more than welcome to come. If you want to learn more about the REI Summit, visit iraclub.com and just go to our events page. And there's a full listing of the next 5 upcoming events. As Travis said, for those of you living in the West Coast, you may want to consider Idaho Falls. If you're living in the East Coast, a little bit closer to get to Indianapolis and the Midwest region. Now, Travis, if somebody just wants to learn a little bit more about you, your company, your organization, where can they find you?
There's a website. If anybody wants to just look me up, it's go to Travis Buys Homes. That's with S's. Travis. So TravisBuysHomes.com. And you'll see we're real. We've been doing this for a long, long freaking time. So, we're trying to help a lot of people out there that are sellers that have to sell their houses. We're also trying to help investors that are looking for properties. So we always have stuff for sale. So if there's something, if you want to just reach out to me, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is actually one of my companies is Travis Nofear, NOFEAR @gmail.com. I do have a Travis Buys Homes email. I just don't ever really check it. I've got actually one of my assistants that does that every day. But if you want to, if you have questions, feel free to hit me up with my email. That's not a problem at all.
Travis, any final thoughts for our listeners before I close this out?
Yeah. There's a couple other things too. I've noticed over the last few years that whenever people come to the REI Summit, or the RE Summit, is they may already have some properties. So if you have no real estate background at all, you're going to learn a ton. If you do have a background and or you had something given to you from the family and you're just like, I want to dump this, or you return, or it's a headache or whatever, we help a lot of people that need to do 1031s, which you had brought up a little bit earlier. So 1031 exchanges, if you don't know what that is it's actually 1031 in the tax code on the IRS website. Feel free to go Google it. And then the other flip side of it is we also, if you don't like single family homes, we also do trailer parks, trailers, like all kinds of different stuff. But if you are ever thinking about doing a syndication, we have that as an opportunity, and it's a great opportunity. And this is why we don't have any financing on these syndications. Everybody that comes in, they're using their IRAs, they're using cash out of a checking or savings account, whatever it is, but we actually don't go and get anything financed. So it makes it so that there isn't a whole lot of fires that you have to worry about, or any fiery hoops that you got to jump through. You and I've even discussed it, Ramez, about if it's something's financed, how that can really mess up something quite possibly. But that's something that, I just want to let everybody know that we do. We have trailer parks, we have apartment complexes, we have single family houses, we have multis, we've got land, we've got new builds. We do everything. We have storage facilities. I mean, just about anything you can think of, somebody in our group has probably done that type of real estate. Like you, as an example, you've done, restaurants. So you know how that is. You know how that works. Like if I ever was to open a restaurant, which I would not, however, you'd exactly, and that's why I would never do it. But if I ever did want to, you'd be my go-to person because that you have that expertise, right? So other than that, I mean, definitely reach out to IRA Club, reach out, but check the events page.
Yeah.
And remember, you're going to get to come to Indy or Idaho, shake hands, kiss babies, get to meet the team, and really get to see what we do. I mean, you're going to learn so much about everything in real estate. It's a fire hose, not a garden hose.
Truly is. And honestly, I always learn something different every time I go. And that's what other all the time. I learn something unique or something different or a strategy that I've never heard of before. And I've been going to this event again for over a decade. But with that being said, Travis, it is always a pleasure, buddy. Would again, a true, expert in your field. You've done this and been around the block one too many times. And for those of you who just want to learn again about different types of investment opportunities and you just want to learn more about what's out there outside of just the traditional stock market or just go over some current events, feel free to check out any one of our podcasts or upcoming podcasts by visiting us at iraclub.com/podcasts. Not to mention, Travis, don't laugh, Dennis's latest book, Money Making Ideas Within Your IRA or 401k. Sign up and you get a PDF of this. And I think it's very beneficial because there's a lot of do's and don'ts. Travis, you're going to say—
I need that book. I need that book. I don't have
well, sign up. Go to iraclub.com/podcast and download the PDF. But until next time, it's always great to have you guys always talking about different things that are out there, strategies, and just opening up doors and opportunities for you. That's the name of the game for us. And Travis, again, always a pleasure, buddy. Till next time, guys.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.